Good afternoon. My name is Marie-Hélène Nîmes, and I welcome you to the group exhibit 21st edition of Hydrogen Fuel Cell and Batteries. Please, we'll have the chance to discuss the Dachs InnoGen, a CHP product tailored to the customer needs. Please help me welcome from BAXI INNOTECH, the Division Manager R&D, Mr. Philipp Klose.
Hello. Thank you, Marie.
Thank you for joining us. Well, like the title says, the Dachs. Why the Dachs?
Well, the Dachs is our, let's say, brand family name for CHP products. So last year I was sitting here in Hanover and we were discussing the strategic change that had taken place at BAXI INNOTECH. And this was that we were forming an exclusive partnership with Toshiba Fuel Cell Power Systems from Japan on these small stationary systems for the German market. And BAXI INNOTECH in Hamburg now is the competence center for fuel cell of the BDR Thermea group. And with this strategic change, we have also decided that the actual product introduction into the market shall be done by our brand, which is well known for CHP products and who has the experience for these products. And this is Senatec, our sister company in Schweinfurt. They have become known and grown with their Dachs product. This was the initial product which they were marketing, an internal combustion engine. But the family has grown, so they have grown this family to the larger size of a 20 kilowatt system, also internal combustion technology. But it has also grown to the smaller sizes, so they have a Stirling Dachs, and now the fuel cell Dachs for the next year to come.
So the fuel cell Dachs is just one of the brothers.
It's one of the brothers or sisters in that Dachs family,
in
exactly.
The greater Dachs family. And you just mentioned a year ago you were here. You were just doing that association with Toshiba. We're looking hindsight 2020, a year later. Where are we from this first association to today? What have we accomplished in the last year?
Well, I mean, you can see it on the booth of the Initiative Fuel Cell. So we are actually exhibiting the product now. We have done the whole development for this new system. It is a similar concept of what we were doing before with the Gamma Premio, which we tested extensively in the Calux project and also in the INI field. So the system architecture is still the same. We are still using the same fuel cell technology in terms of PEM, because we have the feeling that this is most adapted to our customer needs, to the market.
Why do you have that feeling that PEM is the most adapt to your customer base?
Well, it's two technical key issues we see. One is the start-stop capability, which we need in our market for several reasons. I mean, it's the customer who wants to start or stop the system. The house has a specific heat requirement. So if there's no heat demand, then we should stop the system, obviously. And then also there are external effects on these technologies. So you might have grid failures, for example, and then you need to stop the system as well. So this functionality is key for a real product in our market. And then secondly, it's the lifetime that we need for the products. And with the PEM technology, with our system, we are currently talking about 80,000 operating hours of lifetime for the fuel cell system itself. So with that number of operating hours, we are in the range of 10 to 15 years installation time of the product. And this is really where heating products start. So if we're looking at the German heating market as of today, there's heating systems which have 30 years lifetime on their back.
So compared to conventional heating products, you're starting to be side by side. You have the same quality or expectation of lifetime running hours.
Yeah, that was the name of the game of the past maybe 10 to 15 years. Really bring the technology to a state where it is competitive on a product level with the conventional technologies. And now we need to start the market, bring the technology into the market, and certainly we need to work on product cost and make it competitive on that area as well.
So I want to touch base about the fact that your product is tailored to your market. But before I do so, I just want to remind everybody this is a public forum. Please feel free to ask questions. Just raise your hand and I'll come down with a microphone at any time. And to go back to our title here, tailored to the customer's needs, what BAXI INNOTECH has done in this new version of your CHP product to what changes have you done in the technology side to meet the needs?
Well, the changes are based on listening very carefully to what Senatech had written down in the what we call a detailed product request. So the specification of the product. They know the market, they know the customers, and they had very clear expectations of what a fuel cell system, what such a CHP product needs to meet to fit to the customer needs. And we already touched two key arguments. One is, of course, the lifetime, which we had to meet. The second is the start-stop capability. Then a third point is, of course, since we are focused mainly on the German market, we need to be capable to work with all the different gas qualities which we have in the German market. So otherwise we would cut out certain market segments, which is certainly not our aim. The next quite important point, I think, also for the end customer is that the system should be capable to modulate up and down. So it is quite an investment that we are doing. So we want to maximize the operating hours over the year. We want to operate also during summertime. We have high electrical efficiency, low heat output. So also during summertime, we can supply the demand for hot water demand, the heat, and therefore generate electricity, add to the economics of the system. So modulation is also a key factor which the system can do from 200 watts to 700 watts. And then finally, it might sound very, very simple, but size of the system in terms of height is a key argument, because if you can just not install or bring the system into the cellar due to height requirements, then you are losing a lot of market as well. So being below or being able to install in cellars of 2 meters height is a key issue in the German market.
So you've made some modification on this latest product that we can see at your booth on the height as well as the efficiency, the number of hours. It's actually at your booth, which is located at E51. So I invite anybody that wants to actually see the BAXI INNOTECH, the Dachs unit at your booth at E51, which is right behind us over there. And then I want to come back on a key point you just mentioned here, which was about the fact that you're tailoring to the German market. Why especially the German market over European overall, for instance?
There is several reasons, of course. One is that the market situation in Germany, especially when we're looking at the gas and electricity prices, has a certain gap that allows for CHP technology to become economic. So seen from that point of view, the German market is certainly one of the most adequate markets in Europe. Then on the other hand, heating technology traditionally in Germany is of a higher level, also price-wise, than in other markets. So the customers want a certain quality, want a certain comfort of the systems, and are willing to pay for this as well. And also, of course, the political conditions in Germany with the Energiewende are supporting these high-efficient technologies, and therefore we feel that there is a potential in Germany that also the government, we see it on state level already, are supporting these technologies. So pricing, if some of the products are actually available commercially already, we are still in the field trial phase with the INNIFIELD, but some are commercially available. Pricing is still quite high. So we are dependent on some support, some political support, funding for the end customer to get the market rolling. I said we have it on state level. We are working on the national level, and we are quite optimistic that it should be possible to install a market introduction program for fuel cell technology or for very high efficient products on national level as well, which is key to really kickstart the market right now.
So you just mentioned that basically one of the biggest hurdle you have is the cost, and you're working on a national basis. And I think it's really interesting. At your booth, you basically have all your competitors under one roof. Why this approach?
Well, it's because we have not really considered us as competitors in the past. It's all partners in the technology. So it's a very new field, and it will not work if somebody is trying to introduce technology by itself. So it must be a partnership of all the brands, and especially if you want to approach politics, it's very important that you can show the industry really is supporting this technology. Not only the industry in terms of the system manufacturers, but also the utilities. So the whole industry of this domestic sector is pushing for the high efficient technology for the seller, for the heating market. And this is an important message for politics, as well as the fact that most of these system suppliers have reached a level where we can actually start market introduction. So products have reached product status actually, and we can start selling. We need to start selling, and therefore we are looking for this political support.
So you just mentioned the product phase, and we need to start selling. So for BAXI INNOTECH, what's the next phase? You were talking about market introduction through another field trial, this time not through Kellogg's, but through inner field.
I wouldn't call it a market introduction. This is really our pre-market introduction phase. Okay. So we are, of course, using the technology, the systems which we have, for the field trial to prove finally that it works with the end customers, also in other markets. So we will place some systems in other countries, but main focus is Germany. And then second quarter of 2016, we will go live, if you want to call it like that, with Senatech and sell it to the end customer.
So basically by next year at the fair, I should be able to go to your booth and order a unit for my own home, hopefully.
You're very welcomed.
And I will take
you on that.
I'll be there. I will take any question from the floor if there's any. But I still have one question. So basically, hopefully next year I come and I order my own micro CHP because it's something of big interest to me. And actually it brings me to the fact that, yeah, you're concentrating on German installation, and this is where you see the market. However, one technical advantage that I see on your product is because you're using the PEM with an inverter. It will be easier to introduce this micro CHP product in North America than standard micro CHP that use combustion engines because of the hertz differences. So I'm very excited that you say that it will be available for resale next year, so I can bring it to North America with me. But in your mind, what is the next biggest technical hurdle for BAXI INNOTECH, if any?
Well, the next biggest technical hurdle is, if you want to call it a technical hurdle, really in the cost. So we have to work on all components to bring the cost further down, also via volume. You were mentioning the inverter. This is obviously an advantage, but discussing that matter with our Japanese partner, it was important for them to understand that the situation in Europe is, of course, completely different to what we have in Japan. So specifically with the grid connection code, we have different situations in each country. Sometimes even in the country, it might differ from the utility. So this is a hurdle for a wider introduction of the product. We are also discussing gas qualities. On European level, there's an initiative to even widen the scope of gas qualities, which might bring difficulties for all gas appliances. The fuel cell has probably the best potential to cope with that due to certain factors. but also for the other gas appliances, it's a big question mark. So there's technical hurdles waiting for us. And on the grid connection side, the fuel cell is always being judged with all the big energy or electricity producers. So the same requirements apply, even though it's just a few hundred watts appliance. So it's if you transfer this to your consumer side, it's similar as if such grid connection requirements would apply to your hairdryer, which they obviously don't. So therefore, there are some hurdles in this area, trying to harmonize the standards within Europe to make it easier. But with the inverter, we of course have
an advantage
to cope with it.
You're kind of ready for those extra standards coming up and regulations that have been on the talk lately. And then if I was to ask you one last question, because we're running out of time, the vision for BAXI INNOTECH, vision 5 years ahead, what's coming up?
Well, 5 years ahead will certainly be iterations also of this product. We are starting with the market introduction. We are starting to build the market. So even though I was saying tailored for the German market and we have reached market specification, there's of course a lot to do on component level to improve.
Like what? Can you give me an example?
Improve efficiency, go into other gas qualities or gas types even. We will, of course, go into island mode operation. There will be battery packs added to the system, certainly in the next 5 years.
So it could be used as a backup generator in some ways. Is that the idea?
Well, we wouldn't target necessarily the market as backup generator, but we could then still supply heat and electricity when grids are failing. So the independency of the end customer is really a good that we have learned the customers are valuing quite high. And we can really provide that when we combine it with the battery.
Or especially it seems with the temperature up and downs and the crazy weather pattern, grid failure seems to be more prevalent. So it's definitely an added feature that people are looking for. I definitely see it in North America. I'm sure that it's similar here in Europe as well.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, I will thank you, the audience, and thank you, Mr. Klose, for your time. It was a great interview, and I hope to see you again next year with more information about the Dachs.
I'll be happy to come here. Thank you, Marie. Thank you.
And stay with us. We have more coming up. Sorry. And right after this will be... I know it's here. Alex? The commercialization of the inoramic generator technology with Dr. Christian Winderbrink. Please stay right with us.